President Bola Tinubu is in Kenya. From diplomacy and continental politics to strategic alliances shaping Africa's future. The president takes Nigeria's influence to the global stage in Kenya, but beyond the further opportunities and summit speeches, what real gains are there for Nigeria's on the table and Africa's biggest economy? And the state of education tonight gets our attention as the nation stands at a very critical crossroads, from changing policies and a review of existing models and challenges of infrastructure and out-of-school children to funding battles, student loans, curriculum reforms, and the future of millions of young Nigerians. Tonight, we'll be asking the questions from the man who is charged with the responsibility of changing the education landscape. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Shion Wakimale. Thanks so much everyone for sticking with us. It's good to be back on the program. Let me tell you what has happened today in Kenya, where President Bola Tinubu has joined African leaders, policymakers, investors, and business executives at the ongoing ceremony of the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, Kenya, as discussions intensify on unlocking the potentials of the continent on economy and strengthening intra-African partnerships. President Tinubu is saying in that video they're being received by the Kenyan President William Ruto. The summit holding at the Kenyatta International Convention Center is bringing together political and business leaders to chart new pathways for growth, innovation, infrastructure development, and regional integration across Africa. On the sidelines of that summit, President Bola Tinubu has held a bilateral meeting with the president of the Confederation of African Football, Dr. Patrice Motsepe. The meeting focused on collaboration between governments, football institutions, and the private sector as a tool for development, youth empowerment, and economic growth across the continent. President Tinubu has also met with the Madagascan President Michael Randrianirina, where both leaders explored opportunities for stronger diplomatic and economic relations between their countries. The bilateral talks are expected to advance cooperation in trade, investment, and broader continental initiatives under the African Union framework that is set to increase African continental free trade area. The Africa Forward Summit is expected to produce new commitments aimed at accelerating economic growth, strengthening regional partnerships, and positioning Africa for greater global competitiveness in the years ahead. I'm going to take you all to the classroom tonight, and we're going to be dissecting those policy decisions and the review of some of the models of our education system and what will shape the future of our children in the years to come. And the minister will be telling us the reasons behind the Bola Tinubu agenda about our education. Are these policies really forward-looking? Are they just policy somersault or what? We'll be asking those questions tonight. But stick around with me. We need to serve you some of your political roundup stories.
The governor of Imo State and chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Senator Hope Uzodimma, has declared that President Bola Tinubu is laying the foundation for a more competitive, credible, and economically stable Nigeria through bold reforms aimed at repositioning the country for long-term growth. Senator Uzodimma, who also serves as the Director General of the Renewed Hope Ambassadors, stated this while addressing members of the diplomatic corps accredited to Nigeria in Abuja. He further explains that the administration's economic reforms, especially the removal of fuel subsidy and unification of the foreign exchange market, has transformed Nigeria's fiscal outlook and restored investor confidence.
Petroleum subsidy regime in Nigeria functioned as the single largest organized corruption pipeline in our public finances. It was not only an economic distortion, it was an extraction system.
Some members of the People's Democratic Party are faulting the interpretations of the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment on the leadership crisis in the party. insisting that the judgment of the Apex Court already settled the leadership tussle in the party. Speaking under the auspices of the PDP Survival Movement in Abuja, the group appealed to party members to jettison any desire to act against the decision of the Apex Court, which they say recognized the Abdurrahman Mohammed-led PDP National Working Committee. The group also called on the general public to try to get a copy of the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment and see the facts of that judgment for themselves.
We urge all PDP members to reject misinformation, reject constitutional distortion, and reject politically motivated propaganda. Internal disagreements must be resolved through lawful and constitutional mechanisms, not through media warfare and judicial manipulation.
Ahead of the May 30th, 2026 date for primary elections, the All Progressives Congress in Yobe State has commenced the screening of state assembly aspirants across the 17 local government areas of the state. The party's 5-man screening committee is headed by Mr. Babakura Kaka, and 4 others drawn across other states to conduct the screening in Damaturu, the state capital. In Taraba State, a former governor, Reverend Jolly Yame, and incumbent governor Abu Kaifas have resolved their differences with an agreement to embrace peace and collaborate for the good of the state. The rancor between the duo had in the last few weeks pushed the former governor to defect from the All Progressives Congress to join the People's Democratic Party. Governor Abu Kaifas in his remarks disclosed that the former governor has already endorsed him for a second-term bid and has promised to work with him for the peace and development of the state.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get right to it. Nigeria's education sector is once again at the center of national conversation with a series of major policy decisions that could reshape standards, research, innovation, and access to higher education for years to come. From the federal government's new position on honorary degrees and the use of academic titles to fresh benchmark scores for admissions, a new research and innovation fund, and a venture capital initiative aimed at supporting students with ideas and enterprise, the questions are many, and so are the expectations. What is a driving force for these reforms? How will they impact on institutions, students, and the future competitiveness of Nigeria's education system? Joining me now for these very important conversations, the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Lausa, who is right here with us in Abuja. So many thanks for joining us tonight, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Shegun. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Minister. I'm particularly, and I probably need to start from yesterday, where there is a policy decision, and we've seen a lot of decisions these days that have come from your office and agencies under your office. And this one pertaining to the NCE, that's the National Certificate on Education, is called Nigerian Certificate in Education NCE programs, which is administered by colleges of education. You have now just said no JAM examination for them any longer. And based on the research, according to your office, that there is a low enrollment. That is the primary reason, isn't it? What more do we know?
That's not the primary reason. Thank you again. You've just reeled out a lot of transformative changes as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done via the renewed agenda for education system in Nigeria. Our education system in Nigeria today is witnessing significant transformation in a way that positions our country as using education as a bedrock of our national development. And as we move along this ambitious agenda that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has in making Nigeria economy a $1 trillion economy just in about 4 years from now, education is at the centerpiece of that. And we know that very well. And that's why we're leapfrogging, creating the next labor pool that will serve this country. Let me go to your question about the transformative and significant changes we've just made to our education system. And as I tell you this, we do all these things based on data, not just based on abstraction. Now, if you look at the population based on the number you're looking at, 220 million Nigerians. Of those 220 million people, 70% of those below the ages of 30 years old. And now if you dial it further, almost 60% below the age of 20 years old. Now, we have this huge pool of young Nigerians. We need to turn that into demographic dividend for the country. Today, we have the problem, unenviable problem that we have now of out-of-school children. And the way the system is, our education system was designed before we made these changes, was that we're now creating another layer on the other spectrum, layers of out-of-school adolescents. If we let this continue, then the demographic dividend that we stand to gain if we do the right things would all be obliterated. And that's why we looked at it that now we need the mantra now is that we want to give knowledge to young Nigerians, educate them, and make them and skill them up, make them productive to themselves, to their community, to the nation, and to global world at large. And if we do this well, as we create Nigeria being the first, we create a Nigeria that is the forefront of the labor market, skilling our young Nigerians well, giving them the adequate education they need. And that's why we made the transformative decision we did yesterday at the annual JAM meeting. We removed students that are going to be going to the colleges of education, that they don't need to go to the UTME. And also students that would go to the national diploma in non-technology, agriculture, and agriculture-related courses. They'll be attending at polytechnics and monotechnics. If you're going to be doing agric engineering, you still have to go through JAM. And this was based, that decision was based major on some data that we got. And I'll go through those data with you. Today we have about 772 polytechnics and monotechnics in the country, all across the country. 482 of those polytechnics had less than 100 people chose them as their first choice. It's about 62% of all these polytechnics. Less than 100 people chose those polytechnics as their first choice.
And we have 700.
And we had 772.
700. Out of the 700, 400 of those, about 100 of them,
less than 100 or less, chose them as their first choice.
And this has been happening since how many years?
It's been happening forever. But I'm giving you the most recent 2026
so
data.
Meaning that the appetite of young Nigerians to go in for NCE certificates has dropped.
It's not even. I'm telling you, I give you data for polytechnic. Now, okay. That's one. Now, for colleges of education, today we have about 255 colleges of education in the country, both private and public. 214 of those colleges of education had less than 100 people choosing them as their first choice. That represented about 84% of the total college of education. Now, what does that tell you?
Polytechnics, rather.
That's colleges of education. I don't give you
college
data.
Education, okay.
College of education. I'm talking about, there are two things I'm talking about here. The national diploma degree in non-technology agriculture courses and the National College of Education, NCE.
Yeah.
But then, we have all this infrastructure that we've built.
All these institutions. But these young people don't want to go there.
And now, they don't want to go there for several reasons. Now, but we've changed a lot of things. Let me limit this conversation to the College of Education so that I don't get the people listening confused. Now, what did we do last year? We now changed. We started dual mandates in these colleges of education, and that's caused almost significant, almost 100% uptake in the number of people that enrolled last year, from last year alone. Dual mandate colleges of education are all federal colleges of education today. Most of them, except the ones that were founded 5 years and below, now offer dual mandate degree that students will now go, they'll enter as an NCE, they'll do 3 years. After 3 years, if they meet the requirement to go to universities, which is 5 credits, they'll continue and do another 2 years and get 2 degrees. 5 years, you get NCE, National College of Education diploma, and you get a Bachelor of Education diploma. That has really now put a college of education into sustainability into the future. That's now. So we've had more traction of students going. We need better pool of more teachers, high quality teachers.
It's like A levels for them.
For them.
So you pass through. So it's like a.
You now go. You do NCE and you go do bachelor's in education.
Exactly.
And now,
just like you can do national diploma
and then go
in Polytechnic and to finish up
HND.
In the university. Also, you can do.
Yes. So now.
So NCE also has a pathway to university now.
Yes, we call it dual mandate. So we've sorted that out. And we've seen significant a number of people going.
So when did that start? It started
last year. Last year. So all about 28 federal colleges of education have started that. Now, for the state colleges of education, they now have to change their individual state legislation to make that happen. I think as at the last count, we have almost 18 states or 17 states that have done that. They've domiciled it. So they would also be doing that from this 2026 academic session. That's a huge change in our college of education.
So they don't have to write JAMB, because what used to be in our own days is once you finish NCE and you have your NCE certificate, before you can get into university, you have to go and write a JAMB using it as an A-level appendage to your JAMB to enter university.
Let me correct that. Before, once you have the NCE, you can now go to university as direct entry.
To
do 3 years.
3 years.
But we've minimized it now. You just now do one single entry.
Okay.
You do for NCE. Anyone that goes to college of any of our college of education now will now, at least federal, until the state latch on. You go 3 years NCE. Mm-hmm. By the time you're finishing, if you meet the O-level requirement to go to university, which is 5 credits, that will include English. You can now continue for another 2 years to finish your bachelor's, and you get the bachelor's of education. So, Minister, if you don't meet those requirements, you cannot. You terminate at NCE. Yeah. But the key thing beyond opening up more access is to now create pool of highly qualified teachers. And we're encouraging Nigerians to go, because we have these schools. We've had restrictive admission processes before. Mm-hmm. These kids want to go to school. Yeah. Because of this restriction, they can't go to school. Now you have to do JAMB. But for these now, that you don't have to do JAMB, you just apply to, you don't have to do GTME, you just apply so that you can have a matriculation number, so that once you get that done, you can progress along with your career system. If you do a bachelor's in education, you can do NYC and then go on to whatever you want to do. Beyond that, we're also infusing entrepreneurial skill into their training. So we want to into their model their curriculum. Curriculum, yes. We've done significant curriculum minimization now that you go to any of our college of education starting this year now, because we've aligned it with the university CCMAS. Now you can do computer science and education, AI and education, engineering and education. So you're doing that a professional course, but layered well with educational pedagogies. With
the hope of you using it to teach.
Teach, or if you don't want to teach
to advance
and do anything, you could be a software engineer, you can do that. We're now broadening up the opportunities. But with the hope that we train you as a very highly qualified teacher so that you can begin to impart a much higher quality of teaching on our students, on our children.
All right. Minister, how could the exemption, because you have not exempted them from UTME, how could the exemption from UTME for selected programs shape the admission system administered by JAMB?
Very good question. Let's be clear. I don't want to confuse people here. The exemptions are for people going to colleges of education and people going to monotechnics or polytechnic to study non-technology agriculture courses. And the reason for that, we need that to help food security in our country. And before we've done this, we're also going through a major curriculum modernization for all our agri courses across the 3 tertiary institutions, universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, to make them modern-day curriculum. Because things have changed in the last 10 years. So you're talking about greenhouse farming and all those things. So we're changing that. That way, hopefully by end of this year, we'll have a brand new agri curriculum that meets modern day standard.
Realities.
Modern day standard. Now, best practices in those schools. So when kids go to these schools now, they can now go and study these agriculture courses, be ready to be farmers, to be entrepreneurs, to do things, to do market, to go to mercantile exchange, or commodity trading.
It is multiple, it's a multi-pronged in the sense that one of your target is accessibility, also enrollment, because there's a low appetite of people wanting to go into these school. Then you are also equipping them on technical skills. Is that right?
Excellent.
These are the areas.
Yeah, and beyond low appetite, we have a huge young population. They want to study. They want to go to school. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has removed the access, has created significant, unfettered financial access to them by creating the National Education Loan Fund. So any kid that want to go to any tertiary institution today can go, not because you are indigent or because you have properties. That's been settled. We have a president that has broken that shackle for the first time in the history of our country. But now, let's now give these kids opportunity, remove the restriction. Because let me tell you what happened. Just last year, we had requirement to go to University, College of Education and Polytechnics that you must have 5 credits that must include English and mathematics. And we said, if you're going to study law, why do you need a credit in mathematics? If you're going to study science, why do you need credit in English? We abolished that. We said, you have to have credit if you want to do social sciences, law, and art in English, or you don't need a credit in mathematics. If you're going to do sciences, engineering, you must have a credit in mathematics, but you don't need a credit in English. Guess what happened to the number of students for the first time in the history of our country? JAMB would there'll be about 2.2 million, between 2.1 and 2.2 million people doing UTME year over year. And about 770,000 people will be admitted, leaving a gap. So what happened to 1.3 million people? That gets carried over to the following year. For the first time in the history of our country, last year, with the changes we made to the previously restrictive ordinary level requirement, we increased the number of people from 770,000 to 1.1 million students. We added almost 400,000 more students. Guess what? This year alone, with the changes we're making to the eliminating UTME requirement for College of Education and UTME requirement for non-technology agricultural and agriculture-related courses in polytechnics and monotechnics, we would increase number of people being admitted to our tertiary institution by almost about 1.5 million. That's literally doubling from 2 years ago. This is creating huge opportunities.
These statistics
for young Nigerians.
Are very heartwarming. They are very heartwarming. But you know what? Over the last 10 years, there's been different policies, changes, reshaping, remodeling, system modeling, 334, 644, 433. We've policy somersault. Are you not confusing Nigerians?
No.
In your ministry, Minister, and you are the second minister in the Tinubu government. There's been series of changes. Are you worried about this and how confusing it is?
No. At the Ministry of Education, we've had policy minimization. We came in with clear set. There's something called Pareto rule. What is Pareto rule? Pareto rule is what is success. Success is 80% implementation and 20% policy. And that's what we've adopted at the Ministry of Education. We said today, look at the entire country, we have more than enough policies that we need. Good policies, excellent policies. We're amazingly good in Nigeria coming up and churning out policies. But then we said at the Ministry of Education, no, we're not about policies.
We talk, we don't do most of the times.
But we are.
You want to talk?
No.
And you want to do?
We are
talk less?
We talk less and we do more. So now we're not about creating new policies. We're implementing policies. And what we've done amazing. Well, we've kept to our rule, 80% implementation. But then we now go, this is not, what we've just done is not about policy. It's about reality. Looking at problems, looking at data, and using data to solve problems. So what we've just done with this announcement, these are not policy things. It's data.
Are you sure that this will not reduce the quality of entrance?
If you look
into college,
no, it won't. It won't. Let me tell you something. It won't, because what we've done, if we've come up with clear 14-point guidelines on how this will be implemented, and I sent that to you.
Yeah,
part of the
guideline
is that we would have a much robust quality assurance of our colleges of education now, that we really owe them. And I told you, we've done curriculum modernization. It's not the same. It's not the way things were before. We've really modernized. I give you an example: computer science and education, artificial intelligence and education, engineering and education.
When will the adoption of this curriculum change
this
happen?
academic session?
The incoming or the one present?
No, 2026. By the time this new student go into school,
part of my question, my worry about issue of policy somersault is the age of entrance into an enrollment into university. Is it 16 or 18 years?
No, there's no. There's no.
Before you, there was a policy.
Yeah, but we've cleared. I tell you, we had policies. We're following and implementing a lot of these policies. And if we have to make some tweaks to it, we'll do it based on the reality on the ground. The age of admission still remains 16 years old to get matriculated. But we've said they're geniuses in any country, and we have them in Nigeria as well. We can't shut those kids out. We've now created very rigorous requirement for any child that's below 16 years old that wants to get to our universities. Previously, parents were abusing it. Oh, that kid, and for the first time, we followed through with our guidelines. That no, guess what? We had 48,000 students applied as below the age of 16, and they say, oh, they're superbly the genius. By the time we went through our 4-layer processes of admitting them, guess how many of those students qualified? 87 students. So we're doing the right thing. We're giving the student pathway. And internationally, I'm going to quote the data that Professor Oyede quoted. I haven't confirmed it. He said, on the average, you have one genius person per 1 million. That's his data. I haven't confirmed that. But even if you're saying that, look at our population. So we're all mirroring that based on what we're doing now. So listen, things have changed. We're doing amazing transformation in the education sector. And we're being granular, delivering on what the mandate the president has given us, to this, which is every single child in this country should get the highest quality of education that is comparable to anywhere in the world. And that's what is happening now.
Yeah, because there are a series of those who are regarded. The Imafidon, I don't know if you have heard about that family in the UK. Literally all the children in that family finished at incredible ages and went to colleges and did PhD and all of that. Those were exceptional. And parents were really worried when he said, oh, you cannot. And those of us who benefited in entering into university below the age of 16 will be wondering what kind of policy is it about. One thing that I'd like to hold your feet to, and to the fire tonight, Minister, is I would like to remind you about the promise of your principal about education, part of which was that the president and the APC promised increase in access to higher education. But let me give you some feedback. And this promise narrative says that education for all qualified students, regardless of income. Well, the NEL fund is a good news. Reduce out-of-school children crisis. Unfortunately, that figure has not seen any decrease. 18.3 million out-of-school children as of UNICEF 2024 figure. Minister, your government and the APC promised stable academic calendar and ASU disruptions. For someone who's experienced several years of ASU disruption in our school year, I would say congratulations. You've done an amazing job in getting the lecturers not to go to strike. Education sector modernization and funding boost. Education budget reportedly rose to 3.52 trillion. Good one. Technical and vocational education expansion, student entrepreneurship and innovation. These are the promises this government said it was going to do. Digital learning transformation. But there are major crises which this government said it's going to also do to reshape infrastructure. A lot of our classrooms are dilapidated. Student learning in an unfriendly environment. This is major, isn't it, Minister?
No, it's not major. Let me tell you.
You don't think that convenient and ease of access is important?
Let me break this down for you. You've listed 8 different things, and I'll go some of it. Yeah. Access to education, modernization, out of school funding, out of school children, a technical and vocational education, entrepreneurship, and see, I think let me just stop it. When you have a president,
an infrastructure,
good. When you have a president that makes promises, and that president delivers on his promises, you should be happy.
Not 100%. Where he has done, I mentioned where he's done it. So don't make it look like it's all over. Where he has done it, we've mentioned it. But there's still a lot of gaps.
Let me tell you, this president has delivered on all his promises. And now you
not all his promises. Let me take
that's the statistic I'm giving. Let me quote you. Access, NEFON. Today, access is not an issue. Done. Now, we're talking about technical and vocational education. For the first time in the last 25 years, we've brought technical and vocational education back as front and center in our country. Now we have today all our federal technical colleges free. Free. You literally just take your child with their clothes there. You get free education. And we pay stipend.
At the federal level.
And also we've adopted...
Because basic education is not in your own care.
No, is that the state level? Yes, but let's say we've adopted one state technical education, state technical colleges, and for each of the 36 states and FCT. We're doing that, we're paying free. TVET, the vocational skill today, we started cohort 1, 1.3 million Nigerians applied. Today, I can tell you almost 160,000 Nigerians are being trained in 1,200 skill training centers across the country. Each of those students, they get 22,500 stipend a month. Each of those centers get 45,000 naira per student. If you have a center with 100 students, you get about 22 million every month from the government every month. We've unleashed almost 100 billion naira in spending in our technical education sector, and we're using private sector to drive this. So go out and talk to these people. They're happy. And we've done in a way that is sustainable. President has created a top line money for us. This doesn't have to come within appropriation, that it's not that you can say, oh, well, it's not being funded. Now, when you talk about entrepreneurship, we've started EBIC, Entrepreneurship Incubation Business, Entrepreneurship Innovation Business Incubation Certification. That we're now, we've layered into a tertiary institution. We're starting with cohort of 18 universities now. They will go, if you're doing a 5-year course, that will be layered as part of your course. We're training these students to be entrepreneurs, not to be job seekers. Now, you talked about digital transformation with deploying technology, data and digitalization. For the first time in the history of our country, we have annual school census that's been digitized. You can now see it on a digital platform. We're launching it during a stakeholder meeting on Thursday. Now, let me go to areas of infrastructure. This president has delivered wonderfully well. And we look at it.
Based on your own...
No, let me tell you what you've done. I'm telling you about... No, I'm telling you about data.
What have you done?
Let me listen. Let me...
How many classrooms have we...
Let me chronicle it for you. Yeah. If you go to... Let me start at the tertiary education level, and I work myself to the basic education level. Last year, in 2025, we rehabilitated... Go fact check me. We rehabilitated 18 medical schools across 6 geopolitical zones. Each of those medical schools got 4 billion for rehabilitation of their classrooms, workshops, and science laboratory, science lab. Each of those universities got 1.5 billion to build new hostels, because we're doing this so that we can double the number or quadruple the number of students we take for medicine, dentistry, pharmacy and nursing. We're building 8 simulation lab equipped at about almost 6 billion. So if you cumulatively, those 18 universities got almost 12 billion. We are doing 6 this year, and those other 18 universities we've now equipping, putting another 4 billion in this year to buy medical equipment. This year alone, we're spending 250 billion naira to build student hostels across all at tertiary institutions.
Minister,
no,
just give me
I need to know.
No, just give me a moment.
Give me because infrastructure here. Yeah. Let me move to and let me go back to basic education.
Because of our time, there are a few things that I needed to. But because at the end of the day, Minister, just a moment, Minister, because part of education and the purpose of government is that when you provide education, you would have increased literacy.
Yes.
You would have improved research and innovation.
Yes.
Development across the line would have happened in a nation that have focused its attention on education development. And the question a lot of people will ask, what is your end goal? You look at China, look at Singapore, look at India. When they focus, they have a target area they focus on, science, tech, and they focused on it, and they have their target in developing their society. What is the focus of this government?
The focus of this government is simple: to move Nigeria from a resource-based economy to a knowledge-based economy.
In what specific area?
And those are in STEM.
Is it in science or
so
tech?
STEM. If you, as one of our 6 high priority areas, our emphasis on STEM with 2M: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, medical sciences. Now, with this STEM alone, in engineering this year, we're spending about 130 billion naira across a Federal University of Technologies, Federal University of Technology, other conventional universities, and polytechnics and colleges of education as well, to build either do 3 things. Each of those Federal University of Technology will get 4 billion each to either build a new technology or engineering lab, rehab existing one, and buy modern day equipment.
You're just giving out this money. What is the monitoring process?
Oh, we have let me tell you something. These funds are being stringently monitored. I've set up a ministerial implementation and monitoring unit out of my office that they go to these schools when they get this money for it.
Because we don't want to hear tomorrow that somebody has embezzled and stolen the money that is meant to build classrooms and hostels.
This is not freebies. This is what those ministers. That's what.
Can we be able, as a public, be able to see a dashboard on the projects, the monies, the state, or the progress of the work?
Yes, we have the dashboard as part of our NEDI, Nigeria Education Data Infrastructure. That's part of one of the icons that you can check on the dashboard.
All right, give me a moment.
No, let me finish.
Just a moment.
No, give me 1 second. I don't want you to gloss over this thing.
Okay.
The ministerial implementation team, say now, for example, Federal University of Technology, Akure, gets 4 billion. They will sit with the universities, they will inspect what they have on ground, do needs and gap analysis, and sit. These are the things. What do you need? It's not left to the university to just decide on their own, based on their own whims and caprices. The university will sit and decide.
Would the university be the one to implement the project?
Of course. They will be
implemented. They will get the contractor themselves?
Yes, they will do that themselves. But they will be implemented, they will be monitored. And what we're also doing with NEFON now, we've pre-qualified almost 22 outside consultants, all Nigeria local, made in Nigeria. Made in Nigeria product. We're getting this, we pre-qualified them. The RFP has gone out. Now, we're now selecting them. They are now going to do secondary monitoring, quality assurance of all TED-fund projects in each of these geopolitical zones. On top of the quality assurance that's being done by the host institutions, and the secondary one that's being done by TED-fund, we now have a third quality assurance being done by AXA consultant.
Right.
So we are maximizing every single value for every naira we spend on every TED-fund money. And I'm going to come back to infrastructure on basic education, please.
We need to take a break. After the break, everyone, and see ahead on the program, is Nigeria losing its best brains faster than it can replace them? We continue our conversation with the Honorable Minister for Education, the Japa syndrome, and Nigeria being the 3rd largest contributor to foreign education outside of our own shores. We'll be finding out why the education in Nigeria is not of good appetite to Nigerians after this break.
Sunu Assurances Nigeria PLC invites our valued shareholders to participate in the 9.3 billion naira capitalization through a rights issue of over 2 billion shares of 50 kobo each at 4 naira 50 kobo per share on the basis of 5 new shares for every 14 shares held as of 12th February 2026. The acceptance list opens Monday 13th April and closes Wednesday 20th May 2026. Consult your stockbroker or professional advisor for guidance.
Malaria is gone. No more cold and pain. What is wrong with my husband?
Ma, he was very sick in the office. This is the lab result.
Thank you, Luther. With Luther, malaria is in big trouble. Luther contains artemether and lumefantrine, and it is used to treat malaria.
Luther is another quality product from Hovid and marketed by Pharmatex Nigeria Limited.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My baba remember OPay USSD lock, *955*131#. Baba press am, lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has resumed the third and final phase of the nationwide continuous voter registration CVR. The exercise, which commenced on Monday, 11th of May, 2026, will close on Friday, 10th of July, 2026, and is open to persons who have never registered before or turned 18 years after the last registration exercise. Intending voters can visit the INEC voter registration portal at www.cvr.inecnigeria.org to pre-register online and proceed to complete the process at any INEC office to capture their fingerprints and photograph. Citizens can also register physically at any INEC state or LGA office. If your PVC is lost or damaged, do not register afresh. Simply visit the online registration portal or any INEC office and apply for a replacement. You can also T-transfer or update your personal information during this period. Make your voice heard. Get registered. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
Today's leaders are not facing one crisis. They are facing many at once. Geopolitical shocks, inflation, regulation, and rising stakeholders' pressure are testing leadership everywhere. When crises collide, average leadership hesitates. Exceptional leadership brings clarity, confidence, and decisive action. Join TechSem at DoubleTree by Hilton, Newcastle, UK, on the 14th to 18th of June 2026. Learn from Sir Richard Gosney, Lord Johnny Oates, Professor Roger Delves, and John Peters. How great leaders think and act under pressure. Lead calmly, decide wisely, protect growth in turbulent times.
Fee is £4,750.
For more information, contact the number on your screen.
Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has been speaking with us on the program. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for staying with us on the program today. There are quite a number of issues to deal with. And I asked you about enrollment out of school children, which is still worrisome. 18.3 million, that's UNESCO's figure. It does look that if you are rating this government as a Minister of Education, this government has failed in that area. 18.3 million students still out of school.
So look at that. This 18. This is one thing that you should look. We're talking about data here. This UNESCO data, UNICEF data, 18.3 million is the same number that has been quoted for 10 years. So
it's talking about the 2024.
The same. Go back to the previous data.
Why have you not changed?
No.
Why have you not challenged the figure by performance?
We don't need to challenge.
I'm saying your performance should have challenged.
Yes. Wait. Let me explain that to you.
That's why I'm saying that
it looks like a failure. I know. I don't need to get into rhetoric here. We're doing data mapping of our out-of-school children as we continue the aggressive intervention in moving children out of school, back to school. Today, I can tell you that we've moved over 1 million. In the last 30 months plus, we've moved over 1 million children on the street back to school. Now, You see, UNESCO can quote its data. UNICEF can quote its data. And they have variable data they're quoting. Some people say 15 million, some 18 million. But what I'm telling you, we're now doing data mapping of these out-of-school children. We've gone to 7 states now. We're geotagging those geotagging those out-of-school children, locating them to where they are, to their addresses. Now, we've done 7 states. In fact, some states like Akwa Ibom, we're finding it difficult to find out-of-school children. We'll go to other states.
You're going to the wrong place.
No, we're doing
because where that is
we're
found
moving,
predominantly is in most parts of the 19 northern states in Nigeria. And there are those who will be asking, Minister, what happens to the Jonathan and
let me now give you now. We have reaching out of school children one development fund financing that we've done in Kaduna State. UNICEF quoted, and Kaduna has done well. In Kaduna State today, we've mapped every single out-of-school children in Kaduna. UNICEF data say Kaduna has 1.8 million out-of-school children. As at the time we've completed this data mapping in Kaduna, we only have 700,000 out-of-school children. Is that still high? Yes. But now, do we have the real number? Yes. I can tell you unequivocally today, we've mapped the entire out-of-school children in Kaduna State. We only have 700,000, but from UNICEF data, they said 1.8 million. So that we do not have 18.5 million out-of-school children.
That's like one-fourth of the figure.
So, and now we're going to now use Kaduna. In fact, I'm meeting with the World Bank country director tomorrow. We're now going to decide, okay, look for development, because we need to do this in every single state. We've got some development bank credit to do the one in Kaduna, and we've done it now. We have the capacity. So we're now going to continue to map all the 36 states, and we will come out with that number.
Minister, I'm asking you about the Jonathan government.
Let me finish.
Are you looking into?
Yes, let me finish this.
Some of
this school. Yes, let me come. We have to finish a conversation clearly. By the time we map out every out-of-school children, objectively, clear data, well done, we'll call them to come and validate. So then, because you have to put your mouth where your money is. I can't say, the out-of-school children is...
How many out-of-school children do you think we have?
I think,
if you disagree
by the time we're done, we have less than 8 million out-of-school children.
At the moment?
Yes. By the time we're done, from the straw data, from all the sampling data that we have less than 8 million out-of-school children. But that's still too high. But then, what are we now doing to bring these kids back to school? We have innovative things that that had never been done before. We're now implementing with finalized arrangement with private schools to now take these kids. We're paying them on a per capita basis. We're paying them per child to take this school.
When will that start?
It will start this year. It will start probably in the next few months. We're also rolling out a school feeding program that will tie enrollment to school feeding. We're using technology to deploy that. We've built a platform. We have some funding that the President has approved. We're starting that. But then a more larger thing what we have to do. This is a structural problem. We need to really tackle it structurally. Now we now have to, how do we now begin to do a more nationwide after-school school feeding program? We're working on that plan. We've had, because school feeding, it's a security thing. Now I've met with NSA, DSS. We're putting a robust plan in place where we will now have top-line funding to fund National School Feeding Program, as well as a safe school.
Minister, because I taught for 4 years, I can tell you, please, Minister, just a moment. I like to, because in this, just a moment, in this out-of-school children phenomenon in Nigeria, it tied to basic education in Nigeria. If you don't fix basic education, that will persist, and that falls under the purview of state government, and it's not out of your duty.
As part of our major agendas, we're collaborating extensively with subnational government. It's in Nigeria. Like President will say, the kids are the state. The kids belong to Kwara State Governor, the Kogi State Governor, Governor Bassani.
What have you agreed on?
And then I was just with the Governor Forum. I was just at the Governor Forum 2 Wednesdays ago. We talk, we collaborate, we plan together. Now there's a solid policy cohesion between national government and subnational government. And the governors, I have to use this medium to thank them. They've stepped up, they're doing so well. From what, I'll tell you what we've done. When we came, there was 400
don't praise
billion.
them yet.
No, I'm not praising
we
them.
Don't see some of the states, we don't see what they do.
There's still a lot to be done.
There's a lot of money that have gone to the state government, but little has been seen in some of these states, and that's why some of these children are still roaming the street with both in their hands.
I sit and meet with these governors. See, genuinely, intently, with good intent, they're doing their best, they're pushing. But guess what? We're dealing with rot of 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It's not going to be fixed in 1 year, but look at the trajectory of the changes. Go to Borno State. Governor Zulum has built, almost 200 schools. One school, mega school, that will take 10,000 students. 10,000 at a time. Go to Lagos State. In Ajegule, Governor Sanwo-Olu just built 36 different schools. That will take like...
The Shola school or...
No, the one in Nigeria that we just commissioned.
There's an name called...
a commission. Go to Kaduna State. I was just in Katsina State. We built a smart school. That will take boarding school, 1,000 students. The students were there.
It's maintenance and sustainability procedure. Is there an SOP to do that, to get that going
sure.
over the next few years?
Let me tell you, give them the benefit of the doubt. They've put all that in place. And I'll give you, so please, and you talked about the President Jonathan era school that they built for out of school. We've looked at those schools, Amajiri school. We're incorporating them into what we're doing. But beyond that, we're going to those Amajiri, the Ularamas at their school. How do we support them? How do we bring skills and numeracy and literacy to those schools? And we're doing that now.
Some of these schools are unregistered, though.
No, but
how do you incorporate them?
No, we're registering them. No, in fact, we've mapped those schools out. Today, Amajiri and Act of School Commission have mapped, in fact, 80% of those schools out. We know where they are. So we're collaborating with them. Right. These are expansive...
Minister, I just have about 2 or so questions because we only have just about 2 or 3 minutes to wrap up this program. I'm concerned about a data that indicates that Nigerian school may not be very attractive to Nigerians, indicating that Nigeria stands as the 3rd world's outbound student mobility. It shows that Nigeria supplies about 5% of global mobility for studentship, with China at number 1, India number 2, Nigeria number 3. Japa syndrome is still a big deal.
No, that's not Japa, that's student. And please, qualify that your data. Thank God you told me it was 2023
2023 figure.
But I'll tell you, there's a sea change in that data now, in the data you quoted. 2023 was when we came in. There was no academic continuity. They had the kind of extensive investment we made in tertiary education wasn't there. Now, I get this data now, and I can tell you through my own education support service department, we validate students going out to study based on using their work. We've seen precipitous drop in those number of students going out. Our tertiary institutions are better now. We have academic continuity, academic session continuity. We're investing so much. And I'll give you an example. Look at this example called JUPEB. That's our own equivalence of A-levels. That when Nigerians will go to England to do A-levels to do that, we're not doing JUPEB here. And we do there's another one that Ahmadu University does. Oversubscribed. Go to University of Lagos. Law school, oversubscribed. Go to all our top, oversubscribed. Kids are staying here. The quality of education is significantly better. If you now compare, I wish you could compare the 2023 data with 2024 and 2025 and see the precipitous drop of Nigerians going out.
Minister,
our quality of education is significantly better.
The ones who promised to sponsor out of Nigeria, some of them you have abandoned. Why are you not paying them?
We have not abandoned. We are talking about the BA, Bilateral Education Scholarship Agreement. Now, this was fraudulent, this was abused. And now let me tell you, when I got in there, one of the first files they brought to my desk was I should approve 650 million naira to pay for 60 Nigerian kids that will go to Morocco to study. I said, 650 million for 60 students? And as I was looking at the courses that we're going to go do in Morocco, we have Nigerian scholarship given to a student that will go study English in Morocco, a French-speaking country. I had so many of those courses: psychology, sociology, zoology, botany. That was not the way bilateral education agreement was designed. It was a more diplomatic agreement that you send kids to study areas of more specialized training, engineering, medicine, aeronautics, science. But guess what?
What are you going to do? They're already there.
I'm going to get there. Now, and we now found out that, you see, This agreement, we're doing this thing 20 years ago. We built capacity. The school, they're going to Sudan, they're going to Morocco. Our own education system is much better. And we also had incidences of kids that got this scholarship, that they're studying Nigerian universities, getting the money. So we stopped it. That wasn't, in our own judgment, that wasn't the best use of public
Minister,
money.
we're totally out of time.
And our commitment to the BA student was that we will meet the obligation. I saw the video, but I can tell you today, the obligation for them is 8 billion. We've paid 4 billion of it. We're disbursing the 4 billion now. Right. This additional 4 billion will be approved. I've been in constant communication with Minister of Finance. It will be approved in the next 2 weeks. Right. They will be settled. Right. It's our obligation, Minister, for the existing children. We will pay. It's our obligation to them, and we will pay. And we're already paying. We've settled 4 billion already. The additional 8 billion will be settled in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Minister. I wish we had more time. But many thanks. There's just so much for us to explore. But thank you for explaining. And I wish you the very best. There are a lot of positives that you are doing in your office. And I want to encourage you to do more. Nigerians are expecting, and they are holding you to the account. Thank you so much indeed, Dr. Tunji Alausa, for your effort. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you, Sheon.
That's our program for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sheon Okimale. God bless Nigeria.
Welcome to Election 101 in 5 2.0, your one-stop guide on everything elections, where we shed light on the gray areas of Nigeria's electoral process. I am Samson Itodo. Elections 101 in 5 is an initiative of Yaga Africa with the support of the European Union under the EU Supports Democratic Governance in Nigeria program. This program is designed to make electoral laws and processes simple and accessible to everyone. Let's dive right into it. So during party primaries, you may hear the term consensus candidate. But what does it really mean when a political party says it has reached consensus on a candidate? As always, we took the question to the streets. Listen to the interesting things Nigerians have to say.
Without any party, that's not possible. So it's good. Consensus now. It's like we all agree, why are we going to do a primary?
Should I go for C? From the question, I think that's the... Yes. That's my final answer. Thank you.
Interesting responses there. To start with, a consensus candidate is chosen by agreement within a political party without a competitive primary election involving multiple voting outcomes. It is meant to reflect unity within a party around one individual. However, under Section 87 of the 2026 Electoral Act, consensus is not informal or automatic. It is strictly regulated by law. And the law says that a political party that adopts consensus shall secure the written consent of all cleared aspirants, for the position. And those cleared aspirants must indicate their voluntary withdrawal from the race and their endorsement of a consensus candidate. Now, where a political party is unable to secure the written consent of all the cleared aspirants, what happens is that party shall revert to the choice of direct primaries for the nomination of candidates. After that, the party shall conduct special convention or a nomination congress to ratify or approve the choice of a consensus candidate at designated centers at both national, senatorial, federal, and state constituencies. But the law also anticipates a situation where agreement is not possible. So even if one cleared aspirant does not give written consent, then the political party cannot claim consensus. In that case, the party must return to direct primaries where the candidates or the aspirants shall compete through voting. In other words, consensus only stands if it is truly unanimous amongst cleared aspirants. Even when consensus is achieved, the process does not end there. The law requires that the choice of consensus candidate must still be validated, must still be approved in a special convention or national congress. This gathering is held at designated centers in different parts of the country. This step ensures that the process of reaching a consensus on a candidate is transparent and is formally recorded. What this means is that consensus is a structured exception that still passes through layers of verification and approval. So for political parties, consensus is only valid when it is genuinely agreed upon, properly documented, and formally ratified. And for citizens, you and I, it shows that even internal party decisions are governed by rules designed to protect fairness and accountability. And that's Election 101 in 5. We would love to hear from you. Tell us what you think and which questions that we should answer through the handles displayed on your screen. You can also catch this episode and other episodes on our YouTube channel, Yaga1. Also join our WhatsApp channel for more election updates by searching for Yaga Africa on your WhatsApp channel tab. Remember, democracy is not won only on election day. It is won or lost in the primaries. Stay vigilant and engaged. Thank you for watching. I am Samson Itodo. Please join us next time as we break down another key aspect of Nigeria's electoral process. Bye for now.
Good evening. Welcome to News Track on Channels Television. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Our top stories this hour will begin with politics. Some members of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, are faulting the interpretations of the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment on the leadership crisis in the party, insisting that the judgment of the Apex Court already settled the leadership tussle in the PDP. Speaking under the auspices of the